welcome to Washingtonville Soccer Club Studios. I am Rachel Lewinson, and I'm here with Cesar Markovic, who is the head coach of the Siena men's soccer team. They're an NCAA Division I team, and I thought I would ask Cesar a few questions on behalf of the parents. I myself am a parent, and my kids love soccer. They want to get to the college level. So if you could tell us a little bit about how we can prepare our kids to get to that level.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me, and it's a pleasure to be with the Washingtonville Soccer Club and Attila and Nyiri, particularly. Well, you know, I think we can start with one common theme. You know, when we're trying to develop players, and I think that's a love for the game, and you know, that's what we're trying to instill on youth players. Just bring out the love of the game, the enjoyment of the game, and I think it takes special people to do that. People that really know what they're doing, and I think that's one of the qualities, for example, that a coach like Coach Attila has. You know, he exudes passion for the game every step he takes on the field, and I think that's truly the important thing, to put talent with talent. It's not just about showing up to a soccer field, and then the next step is obviously enhancing that every time out, you know, and making sure that kids show up to practice and want to come back, and that's the trick. If they keep coming back, you have a chance. You have a chance to keep learning and keep teaching, and the process to continue. And if the process continues and we have talented coaches around talented players, I think only good things can happen. So, you know, I think that's really the beginning stages that we're talking about in terms of developing an athlete.
And what about specific skills? Are there specific things that we can be reinforcing with our kids?
Well, I think really the most important thing is, you know, aside from the enjoyment of the game, is the development of technique. I think technique is 1A, 1B, 1C. However you want to put it, it's the most important part of the game, is to develop that at the early ages. Well, once you get past a certain age, it's too late. So, you know, the focus has to be on technical development with youth players, and it's a tricky proposition, because the pressure to win is out there. You know, we live in a society where you know, success is judged on winning and losing, and I think that, you know, I think it's sometimes it's difficult to focus on the correct things when it comes to development of players, when there's such a pressure on winning and losing. So, you know, I think that you know, that cooperation amongst the parents and the coaches and the children, I think, is really important in really pushing and the correct things early on. What do we look for as Division I coaches? We look for technical players, and players that obviously that can play at the college level in terms of physical attributes, of course. Players that compete to win, of course. But without the technical foundation, there's really nothing to talk about.
And what would you say is the ideal age to begin training?
I think it starts as soon as they're born, really. I mean, well, every soccer player that I've ever been around has started as soon as they can walk. You know, it's really it's the most natural thing that you can ever see, as a child with a ball, and soccer is such a natural game, because if you ever watch children, when they start walking, they almost automatically start kicking a ball or running with a ball. And so soccer is a very natural sport to introduce to them. You know, there's not an unnatural movement within the sport for their motor functions, even at the earliest ages. But, you know, as far as formal training, I think once you know, they for the most part, once they reach 5 or 6 years old, you start to get them out there, and it's more a social thing than anything, and just learning to interact and to just love the game as early as possible, and only good things can happen when they keep coming out to the field, even at that very young age. But I think at the very, very young ages, you know, I think it's, like I said, it's pretty natural for for kids to want to play with the ball, and you know they'll usually play with their parents and so forth, and you know later on you could get them involved in a more quote unquote formal setting with some coaches who are really facilitators to just have a good time out there.
Okay, and then besides love of the game, what would you say are some of the characteristics you see in the most successful players that you come across?
I think that the most successful players have a tremendous confidence that they've acquired from hours upon hours of playing with the ball, you know, and that, like I said earlier, that starts very early, and then love affairs begins with the sport, and then it's just hours upon hours with the soccer ball, and in the end, you know, that all comes out in the end. You know, when you see a player that can handle the ball as if it was a part of their body, you know, that doesn't happen by accident. That happens because it's someone that has spent an incredible amount of time practicing and playing. But at the end of the day, no one is going to do anything for that long a period of time unless they really truly love it.
So do you think that a college level player can play in multiple sports, and if not, what is the age at which they need to specialize in soccer?
I think it's becoming more and more difficult every day as to be a multi-sport athlete. I think that the demands on soccer players are growing as we as a soccer country begin to try to compete on an international level. We really the time is of the essence. Time is valuable every day, and really once kids hit 14 years old, they really need to start thinking about spending really the free time that they have training for soccer, you know. And there are cases of incredible athletes that are able to handle playing a couple of sports, but the demands are just becoming incredibly high. The amount of travel, the amount of training and amount of tournaments and games just makes it very difficult to exist in two sports, I think, at this time. So you know, we're starting to see less and less of that. We're seeing more and more, you know, soccer players exclusively coming through the ranks.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for coming
Thank
and
you.
speaking with
Thanks.
us and
Thanks for
sharing with our
having me.
parents.
Thanks for having me.